Welcome to Health Club with Julia. I'm your host, health coach, and registered dietitian, Julia Campagna. I'm on a mission to bridge the gap between looking your best and living your life to the fullest. After years of over dieting, struggling with disordered eating, and destroying my social life, I finally found how to reach my dream physique without sacrificing the things I love. Now I'm sharing all my strategies and education with you. We'll be talking all things health, including hormones, metabolism, and lifestyle to help you cut out the confusion and start living. So get cozy and join the club. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Health Club with Julia podcast. As always, I am so happy you are here. So today's episode is going to be all about the sleep and how we can get better sleep, because sleep is part of one of the foundations of your health. And I feel like a lot of people either don't take it seriously or just struggle with getting really good sleep. And there's a couple lifestyle shifts that you can simply make to improve your sleep. And I think that we need to just dive into it a little bit more, because again, people just they kind of just throw it out the window, especially when it comes to nighttime routines and social media and scrolling and all of that. They know mentally they might be like, I got to get to bed early, or I should get to bed now, I shouldn't scroll, but then they end up doing it, and it's like, all right, well, let's actually do the things that we need to do and the things that we say we're going to do, instead of just getting into bed and being, oh, but this person posted this and I want to watch that, and then you're up for so long and you're like, how did I even get here, right? So again, I think that it's really important to note how sleep affects your body. It affects it in so many different ways, and when it's not actually taken into account, then you end up with problems. And I'm not saying that you have to sit here and have a specific bedtime. I do think that having a routine and trying to aim for consistency around a bedtime is helpful. It doesn't have to be this steadfast, I need to be asleep by this time every single night. We are not children. We are adults here. But again, I think that it is true to be said that there should be some sort of idea or timeline around when you should be going to bed. And that should be something that you do think about at night, not just, maybe I don't have work in the morning, so I'm going to stay up all night long. That's okay from time to time, but not really. So what I want to start with is routine equates to safety in your body. Your body feels really safe when you are consistent. It thrives off of consistency, and the more consistent you are and in routine you are, the more your body is going to feel safe. And for all of other processes in the body, whether that is hormonal health or what have you, hormonal health, immune system support, all these other functions of the body, the more that you feel safe, the better your body will function. And I truly believe that. And some of that does come down to sleep and your sleep patterns and your sleep routines. And in order to create the safety, we have to have some sort of consistency. This, again, does not mean that you cannot be flexible. It's not just one steadfast rule, this is the time you need to be asleep by every single solitary night, and you can't veer off of that and what have you, especially on the weekends. I know people do more stuff on the weekends. They're out, they're enjoying their life, and you absolutely should. But there is, again, some benefits in keeping some sort of consistency even on the weekend. And kind of what I mean by that is, let's say you're somebody who wakes up at 6 a.m. every single day. That's your weekday routine, and then the weekend comes and you wake up at 10:30, 11 because you were out late and you slept in and everything else. That's really not being consistent, and that's when you probably feel a little bit worse the next day. Maybe you're a little bit more groggy. You just don't feel as put together, so to speak. And a lot of that could be avoided with continuing consistency even through the weekend. Now, I'm not saying every single weekend you have to wake up at 6 a.m. just like you do during the week. I know that you probably don't have work and things are a little bit more lax, but if you can give yourself a range and a limit to wake up even on the weekends, again, you're going to give your body that consistency and help it feel more safe. There's a lot of benefits actually to keeping consistent sleep routines even on the weekend. So for someone who, again, is waking up at 6 a.m. every single day during the week, maybe on the weekend you give yourself some time to sleep in, but maybe that's only until like 7:30, 8 o'clock instead of 6. It's not something that's going to be way later than you usually do, but it doesn't have to be the exact time that you wake up every day during the week, because you are allowed to have flexibility, but we do want to keep this sense of routine and consistency for our bodies to thrive. So that's just something I wanted to mention to you, especially the weekend stuff, because a lot of times weekends is where things kind of get put on the back burner and kind of thrown out the window. But again, if you really think about it, think about you sleeping in. I know for me, I'm somebody who always wakes up super early during the week, like 5:36, and between 5 and 6, depending on if I'm going to work out or not. And on the weekend, I usually sleep in until like 6:37, the latest. And if I ever sleep in later than that, which does not usually happen, my natural body clock wakes me up at this point, but if I do, for whatever reason, sleep until like 8:30, I wake up and I'm like, oh my god, I need to get out of bed, I need to do this, I need to do that, like, I slept in, and I get antsy almost, and I just don't feel great because, again, it's not consistent for me, it's not routine, it's something that, and again, I think to a fault, it's okay to wake up a little bit later and not feel like you have to rush now to get everything done. I think it's fine to give your body a little bit more relaxing time. Again, it's just, at least when I think about it, if I sleep in later, like later than I usually wake up on the weekends, I'm all thrown off because my body is just not in its routine. And it affects my day. It can affect how I'm feeling that day, my mood, my energy. And so again, there are tons of benefits to keeping routine even on the weekends. So try to have some sort of routine on the weekend, even if you're a little bit more flexible. Still, don't let it go to another extreme, like one end of the spectrum versus another. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that about routines and consistency and how your body thrives off of that, and again, especially the weekend stuff. But there's key things to think about when trying to improve your sleep in terms of like morning, nighttime routines. You really don't want to be super high stress from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed. That is destroying your body's circadian rhythm, your nervous system, in turn your immune function, potentially your gut health, potentially your hormone health. Like it just is like a trickle down effect. If you wake up and you're like, oh my god, gotta like jump out of bed and again do XYZ, especially if like you're a snoozer, that can cause a lot of stress. So if you're stressed from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed, you need to find some time to focus on you. I don't care how busy your schedule is. I don't care if you have kids or what have you. Yes, I do know that these things play a role and they are important, but you are also important, just as important. And you need to find time to focus on you, no matter what. You need to dedicate time for yourself and make it a non-negotiable part of your everyday. And that's where routine comes in, because if you know and you have a set routine, roughly the same every single day, you know when your time is blocked for you time. And that should be both morning and night. Now again, I know some people have really busy schedules and they're doing a million things and they might have kids and what have you. And so you might not be able to do it morning and night, but if you can, even if it's just 5 minutes, I think too that people get overwhelmed with the idea of a routine, a morning routine, a nighttime routine, because they're like, I don't have time for that. It doesn't have to be extensive. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute morning routine. It could be simple 5 minutes in your morning and night that you should have. And if not, wake up 5 minutes earlier. 5 minutes is really not going to change much if you have to wake up 5 minutes earlier to give yourself an extra 5 minutes of you time in the morning. It could be as simple as 5 minutes. Do not overwhelm yourself thinking that you have to have this elaborate routine in the morning and night. That's not true. That's not what I'm saying. But give yourself a little bit of time, ideally in the morning and night. If anything, I would say at night. But again, morning is just as important, so try to fit time in these pockets, morning and night. before you get going with your day or mid-morning, however you need to do it, it should be a non-negotiable for you. Part of how your body acts, so your period health and hormone health, your, bloating and digestion, skin health, all the things that you physically experience, how your body acts, like if you have a hormonal imbalance or bad PMS or heavy bleeding or bad cramps during your period, or you are bloated or you have a lot of acne, how your body acts is a reflection of your actions throughout the day, and especially stress. Stress is tied to so many of those things that I just mentioned and how your body acts, and it needs to be taken care of. So again, it should be a non-negotiable for you, morning and night if possible, to just set aside minimal time at least to give yourself some time for you, solely you alone. And so I'm going to give you kind of my morning routine and night routine just to give you some examples of what you can do. Now again, this is what I do. This does not have to be like what you do. You can make your entire morning night routine on your own and do what you like to do. But I'm going to give you some examples, especially because I am an early morning riser. So for those who are like, well, I get up super early and I have to get out of bed and do stuff right when I wake up because I have to be at work at a certain time. I am up at 5 a.m. I am an early morning riser. So for all my early morning girlies like myself, this might speak to you directly. And again, for those who don't have to wake up super early, your morning routine might look totally different than mine and your nighttime routine. But again, this is just things that I do that allow myself to get what I need to get done in the morning and at night, but also find that pocket of time for myself so that I can de-stress and just give myself a moment for myself before the craziness of the workday and after the craziness of the workday, which are very, very important. So this is what I do. Again, you do not have to do everything that I do. But one non-negotiable for me, or I try to make it a non-negotiable for me, which usually I'm actually pretty good with this, is try not to get up out of bed and scroll right away. If you are somebody who your alarm goes off, you roll over to turn off your alarm, and then you grab your phone and you immediately open up Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media platform you like, cut that habit. That's already stimulating you in a way that you don't need to be stimulated in the morning. So try not to do that. That is one of the things that I try not to do. Now, I am somebody who does track my cycle and tracks my temperatures and all that kind of stuff. So there are things that I do on my phone in the morning. I actually don't set an alarm. My husband sets the alarm. I do kind of wake up roughly at the same time without an alarm, but I don't set an alarm, so I don't have to do that. But even if I did, if I had an alarm on, I would simply just close that out, turn that off. And then what I do is I track my temperature for my hormones and my cycle. So I go into Oura Ring. I use my Oura Ring for my temperature right now. If I was using my thermometer like I did, I just switched over to the Oura a couple months ago. So if I was taking my temperature via thermometer, I would grab the thermometer and I would take my temperature. But since I have the Oura, I just open up the Oura app. I make sure it syncs with my temperature and everything is working in the app. Then I will go over to Natural Cycles, which is where I really track my cycle with, and I make sure that that syncs with Oura. If I was just using a thermometer, I would just open up Natural Cycles, or whatever app you're using, if you're using an app, and put in my temperature. But that's what I do. I will say some mornings I am not the best with this. Some mornings I get up and check my email right away. It's not even social media for me, which is crazy. It's my email. For some reason, I'm like, who emailed me? Right now I'm in the process of house hunting as well, which is a pain in the fucking ass. But for me, a big thing is I get, I'm on Zillow, Trulia, all that kind of stuff. So I get emails every single morning. It says, these are popular homes, these are new homes. And so I am, glued to that. And it's not great. I've been doing a little bit better and trying to cut that habit of checking my email. Because, again, just like social media, an email can be really stimulating, especially if I open up my work email and I see something from work that I have to answer. I'm going to be triggered to want to answer that email right away, or want to, whatever. and it's too stimulating first thing when I open my eyes. So I try to avoid that, and if you can, try to avoid that as well. Again, you don't need that stimulation right away. And also like that blue light shocking your eyes right when you wake up, you don't need that as well. So if you can, before bed, turn your phone on night mode. This is something that I am really good at for a time being, and then once I forget, I just keep forgetting until I remember again. And so me talking about this right now is actually reminding me. But if you set your phone before you go to sleep to night mode, it turns on like the yellow light. It like changes it from blue light to yellow light, or whatever dark mode does. And that way when I wake up and I have to open up the Aura app and make sure everything syncs, I'm not getting this blue light right away. So those are a couple things. Turn on dark mode on your phone, or like night mode, before you go to bed, so that if you do have to check your phone for whatever reason, you're not just getting stimulated by blue light. And also secondary to that, make sure you're not getting up and just going right on social media, scrolling, going through email, anything like that. If you have to turn off your alarm, fine. If you're tracking your cycle, put in your temperature and leave it. And don't check social media or anything for like, I like to do it for, if I can get through my entire workout without checking social media, that's great. I'm human. Sometimes, and more often than not, halfway through my workout, I'll be like, okay, let me check social media. I mean, that'll be like an hour of me being awake at that point. But ideally, like the first 20-30 minutes of waking up, I try not to be on any form of social media or phone usage at all. So that's the first thing that is as much as possible and not negotiable for me. And the more that I do that, the more consistent I am, the more it does become an actual non-negotiable. So that's something I'm still working on, but I definitely notice the difference when I do this versus scrolling right away or checking my email. So that's one thing. Secondly, once I am up in the morning, like I said, I'm an early morning riser for the gym. I do get up and I get out of bed and get ready for the gym. So it's not like I wake up and I read a book or I journal and I listen to calming sounds. No, that's not me. I do get up, get out of bed, make my bed, get clothes on, run out the door. Like I am somebody that is stimulated in that way, which isn't fantastic. Do I wish I could like have a slow morning? Yes, and on my rest days I do. I only go to the gym 4 times. So the other 3 days out of the week, which includes, well, one of those 4 days out of my lifting schedule is on a Saturday. So I actually do allow myself a slower morning because I can get to the gym later. I don't have work. So out of the weekday, the 5 days during the week, I have 3 gym sessions, and that means I have 2 rest days during the week itself, the weekdays. So those days and the weekends, I do slow down in the morning and give myself a slow morning. But the days that I'm up for the gym, I wish I could have a slow morning routine and just like calmly get up out of bed. I do love that. However, I do have work and I do start at a certain time, and I am just a morning person. I don't love to go to the gym at night, and so this just works better for me. And since I'm up early, that gives me more time for my nighttime routine to wind down at night. So it's a trade-off, but I'm willing to make it because I do still make time for myself in the morning post-gym. So I'm up and out of the door by like 5:30, wake up at 5, get ready, do all the things. I'm out the door by like 5:25, 5:30, and I'm heading to the gym. That is pretty stimulating. It's also stress relieving because exercise can be a form of stress relief. It's twofold. It adds stress physically to your body because you're exercising, but it's also decreasing stress because you're exercising. So it's twofold, but again, after the gym, because I am stimulated in the morning, I do make sure I give myself at least 5 minutes before my workday starts to have some sort of slowness and like me time. So for the people, for the girls who do have to get up early, whether that's for the gym or just to get to work, either wake up a little bit earlier and do something before you have to get ready for work, or if you're up and like showering and everything early, make sure before you walk out that door, you have some time for yourself. So for me, I'm up early. I get home probably around 7-ish. I probably get to the gym around 5:45. I'll work out until like 6:45, roughly, so like an hour, and then it takes me like 15 minutes to get home, so I'm home by like 7. that is when I try not to, like, again, sit down, scroll, take my time. I do try to, like, get home, I feed my cat, I put away the dishes from the night before, and then I hop in the shower and get ready for the day. That way, my, like, quote unquote chores for the day are done. I get my chores and all of that out of the way, and then once I'm settled, post shower, all of that, then I do some breath work. I sit, I do some breath work. I make sure that I am in a much calmer state. I make sure that I do this for 2 to 3 minutes minimum. Sometimes it's longer depending on what my morning looked like. But I do try to get some breath work in. Then I will do some deep thought work. I'll do some journaling. More recently, I've been journaling and doing some reading, connecting with God a little bit more. I'm on this journey right now to connect more with Him a little bit. So I am doing some Bible reading. I am doing some... This could be a whole other topic. Not to get too far into it. I am like on this spiritual journey right now. So I am just doing some deep thought work for myself. I'm doing some reading, and I will journal a little bit, do some prayer in my morning after the gym, after all my chores are done. So that's breath work, some journaling, prayer, deep thoughts. Again, just to kind of ground myself and set the tone for the day and allow myself to get some extra energy out from the gym and just like kind of relax a little bit. So I do that, and then from there I'll either make a matcha and breakfast. This kind of flip-flops. Sometimes I'm really hungry and I like get my breakfast in first, and then I'll do the breath work and deep thought work and all of that. And sometimes I am okay and just like want to sit in my thoughts, so then I'll do that and then have my breakfast. That flops. But either way, I do my breath work, journaling, prayer, deep thought work, and then I also do make a matcha latte. It's like me romanticizing my morning because I love lattes. I used to love making like coffee lattes, but I don't drink coffee anymore. I do drink decaf sometimes, but I'll make my morning drink. It's like my favorite thing to do in the morning is have a warm, tasty drink, latte, whatever. And so I make that, and I make my breakfast, and then I'll have those together, and I'll, again, sit. And again, something to be really clear on: if you are eating, whether that's at work or at home, try not to eat distracted. So I try not to like go on my phone or work while I'm doing this. Now again, some mornings are different. On my heavy work mornings, yes, sometimes I eat breakfast and I get into work at the same time. But ideally, and most of the time I don't do that, I sit, have my breakfast, have my latte. Again, sometimes I'll do my deep thought work while I'm eating. Depends on the morning, but I make sure I get that out of the way. And then once all of that is done, then I get into work. And I try to get into work by like 8:15, 8:30. Sometimes it's 8:45. But that's kind of my morning routine. I get all of my, again, quote-unquote chores done for the morning. That includes the gym, getting ready for the day, putting away the dishes, feeding my cat, like anything that are necessary for me to get done before I start my day, I do that. And then once that is done, I sit, I relax, and I focus on me. Sometimes it's 5 minutes long, sometimes it's 15 minutes long. It really just depends on how much thought I'm having, how much stress relief I need that morning, what I, need to think about and journal, and it really depends. And also depends on what I'm making. Is it an easy meal? Is it pancakes, which takes a little bit more time, So it varies time-wise, but these are things that I definitely need to do in order to get myself set for the morning and the day and relax and not go into work super stressed. So some key takeaways from my morning routine that could be beneficial for you is, number one, do something in the morning to set yourself up for success. What you do in the morning sets the tone for the day. So like for me, that is getting my workout in. I like to exercise in the morning. It helps me feel energized for the day. I know that I don't have to do it later on, so it's a task that I want to check off as well. So that if I get up and I get my workout in, I immediately feel more put together, more energized, more productive for my day. So that sets me up for success. And then also making sure that I have my morning, like, again, journal time, breathwork time, also sets the tone for the day, so I'm not overstimulated and overwhelmed before I even start work. 2, big takeaway. Give yourself a moment of stillness. Again, I don't care what you have going on. Give yourself 5 minutes. You can find 5 minutes in your morning to give to yourself to set the tone for your day and not feel overstimulated at the beginning of your day. And again, if in what you're doing right now you can't find 5 minutes, wake up 5 minutes earlier. Just do it. You're going to benefit from that. I'm telling you. And then 3rd thing, try not to continually snooze. The more and more that you just reach over and snooze your alarm consistently, the more you're going to feel groggy when you wake up, and just like, then you might feel more rushed, and that's going to cause more stimulation, and you don't want to be stressed. If you can just wake up on your first alarm, and again, I know that sometimes that's not realistic. Sometimes you're really tired and you need to snooze. Okay, but most of the time, if you can just wake up on your alarm and get your day going however that looks for you, you're going to feel better for it. I think 4th big takeaway here is that morning scroll. Try not to be on your phone. If you have to be for whatever reason, make sure you're on night mode so you're not getting the intake of blue light immediately. And also, again, just if you can avoid it, try not to stimulate by going on social media first thing in the morning. So those are key takeaways for morning routine for me, and things that I think that could be helpful for you. So, now let's move over into the night routine. Night routine can get very tricky and can fluctuate a lot depending on you. If you're alone, I feel like it's a lot easier. Like if you live alone and whatnot, it's easier to have some sense of routine. If you do live with someone, I know that some things are kind of dependent on the other person. Like, you're not going to sit down and eat dinner if you have a partner that is coming home from work. You're going to probably wait for them to get home from work, eat dinner together. So there's things that you have to take into account. But again, having some sense of routine to your night will help you, 1, wind down from the day and help you relieve stress and tension from the day and from work, and also set you up for more sound, deep, better quality sleep as well. So, first thing I'm going to say, give yourself a cutoff time. That goes for work, that goes for electronics. Give yourself a cutoff time. Some people, like myself included, can literally work all night if they could. Some nights I do have to say, okay, I need a break, I need to stop working. Give yourself a cutoff time with work. If you go into an office and work, then that's a lot easier because you are done with work, you drive home, and you don't have to think about work. Sometimes though, work drags into the household, and or if you are working from home, it's a lot easier to just continue working through the night and like later on because all of your work is in your environment, which can be tricky. So make sure you give yourself a cutoff time. For me, I don't like to work past like 6 o'clock. I need to end, I need to start dinner, I want to spend time with my husband before we do actual like our nighttime routine and get into bed. So for me, that looks like 6 o'clock roughly. 5:30 sometimes if I get everything done that I need to, I can end at 5:30. But there's a cutoff time and there's a point where I go, okay, I need to give myself a break because it's no longer me being productive. I'm overdoing it. So that, and then I do also kind of give myself a cutoff time with like electronics and TV and all that kind of stuff, which is like 9:15 for me. If I finish an episode of a show that I'm watching at like 8:45, I do not start a new one because I know my cutoff time is in like 15 minutes. So I'm like, you know what, it's 8:45, I'm going to get to bed a little bit earlier and turn this off because my cutoff time is coming up. If I were to start another episode that's, let's even say it's a half hour, that already brings me into 9:15, 9:30, and then I'm up later than I want to be. So I give myself a cutoff time roughly. Again, it's not like a set fast rule. Some nights I go over that, some nights I'm earlier than my cutoff time, but I kind of have this idea in my head on when I should be getting to bed and when I should be like turning everything off. So that's been helpful for me. Then what I do as well is plan ahead the day before for the next day, because I find that if I have a lot to do that week and I don't plan ahead, I'll sit in bed and I will literally think of the million things that I have to get done, and then again, I'm stimulating myself. I'm causing more stress, and I'm not getting to sleep the way that I need to. I'm not going to have as good quality sleep, and it really does just affect my sleep and therefore my next morning overall. So I will plan the next day that night so that I know exactly what I need to do, and all of my thoughts and all my to-do stuff is out on paper and it's out of my brain. Better yet, I like to do this.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Health Club with Julia podcast. If you loved the episode, share the podcast and tag me, and subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. Thanks for being a part of the club. See you next time.